Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here, and as you can tell, we're heading into some science fiction superheroing with Commando Cody, Sky Marshal of the Universe. Now, the character originated in the serial Radar Men from the Moon and was played by George Wallace, not the governor of Alabama. Um, and it was a pretty successful serial. It basically took the outfit from King of the Rocket Men, the Rocket Man outfit, and created a whole new character around it. He was in charge of patrolling space and protecting Earth and such, and used a rocket suit and a rocket. So they decided, as unfortunately theater attendance was going down due to TV, that maybe they should get in on this TV thing. So they created the show Commando Cody, Sky Marshal of the Universe, which was the title he had in the serial. And they hired Jed Holdren. And to avoid the problems that the producers of Superman ran into when George Reeves decided, I should be getting paid more money, they put a mask on Holdren. It helped disguise him, like the Lone Ranger. Although, when Clayton Moore wanted a raise and they replaced him with John Hart, that didn't work too well. And after Hart finished his run, the public demanded Moore return, which he did. Anyway, they filmed about 3 or 4 episodes, and but then they had another serial to do, so they pulled Holdren and Eileen Town and put them over into the serial Zombies of the Stratosphere. That one got edited into the movie Satan's Satellites, which I reviewed last summer. After that, they then returned to complete the other episodes for the TV series. Unfortunately, by this time, William Shallert had gotten another job. This was the same thing that happened on The Adventures of Superman. There was a lull between season 1 and season 2 because they were trying to sell it in syndication. And so Phyllis Coates had already taken another job, so they brought in Noelle Neal to replace her as Lois Lane. Ironically, Neal had also played Lois Lane in the first 2 live-action Superman serials, Superman and Adam vs. Superman. To explain Shallert's disappearance, they simply said he'd been reassigned and cast Richard Crane, a popular B-movie actor who also did several serials, as his replacement. And then, due to contractual obligations, they actually ended up releasing the series, as a serial to theaters, even though there were no cliffhangers. There is an overarching plot, so the show has to be shown in order, otherwise it won't make sense. But there were no cliffhanger endings. Then it got sold into syndication and played for a little while. Republic didn't have a lot of luck in their TV endeavors. The only other major show I think they made was The Adventures of Fu Manchu. It, like this, ran for a small number of episodes. That one was 13, while this one's 12. But Republic was hemorrhaging money at this point. Theater attendance kept going down. They had made some money by taking all their westerns and editing them down so they could play within an hour's time slot on TV. But eventually they had to shut down. I think it was in 58 that they shut all production down. Serials had stopped in 56. But we're here to talk about Commando Cody. And we opened with 2 government agents who are being sent to join a new branch being run by Commando Cody. And we learn an interesting fact about Cody.
Activities. Everything that takes place here is strictly top secret. That's why the government insists that Commando Cody wear a mask at all times. Even the people who've worked for him must know who he is, for their protection as well as his.
Yes, the old Batman reason, to protect family and loved ones. Well, after Cody arrives, they find out what they're really up against. Seems these missile attacks that have been in the news are not from a foreign government. They're from outer space, possibly an unknown planet. But Commando Cody, he explains after he's arrived that he came up with a very interesting way to stop it.
Commando Cody has devised a means of encircling the Earth's upper atmosphere with a blanket of radioactive cosmic dust. Beg your pardon?
Yeah, what he said. Basically, this dust that encircles the upper atmosphere where we can't be affected by it, when the missiles pass through, it causes them to get so heated up that the missile basically just disintegrates. Well, but that's not why they're there. They're there because Cody needs help building a rocket that can take them to planets so that they can track down these nefarious evildoers, which they'll start on tomorrow. After leaving, two Earth henchmen who've been hired by a person in league with the aliens, let's say, they break into the office to see if they can find out the secret to why the missiles are no longer getting through. But, Commando Cody, who was giving Ted a lift home, had an alarm set up. Alerted, they rush back to the office and get in the first of what will become many fistfights. Just needs a few pows and whams inserted in there. But as this is the first episode, of course, one of them gets the drop on Cody, locks him in a closet, and they get away. Excuse me. The only thing they were able to find was a map that led to an old ghost town called Graphite. It just happens to be where the rocket ship's going to be built, so it can be in secret. So they get back to their boss, tell them about it, and not sure what to do, even though it seems kind of obvious, they call the leader.
Dr. Varney reporting from Earth. The governor, man Henderson, has been in touch with Commando Cody, and they appear to be planning some operation in a deserted mining town. Do you consider this worth investigating further?
Definitely.
Wow. He's brilliant. I had to call for that. Anyways, while Graphite's being investigated, Commando Cody has something special to give to his two assistants.
You can tell people these are official badges you wear when you work for me. Actually, they are two-way radios with a special wavelength assigned for my use only.
Communicators. I wonder if those will come in handy in this episode. Well, everything's moved over to Graphite, and then we learn just how sneaky these bad guys are.
Commander, we're ready to install the atomic pile chamber in the rocket. Can you come down to the barn?
Okay, Ted, let's go.
Dastardly. Although, how'd they do that? You would think someone would have noticed that being put in. Anyway, Looking over the plans, they discuss with each other, wow, a rocket ship and atomic motors. We better get some orders from Varney and have him contact the leader. Because, you can't do anything on your own.
My men have found out that Commando Cody is building a rocket ship, probably for interplanetary travel.
We must keep Commander Cody earthbound. Destroy his rocket ship at once.
Thanks for cluing us in on that, genius. Anyway, they and a Confederate who, when you know there's a new henchman introduced, he ain't going to last past the scene. But they plan to sneak into the barn, cut the ship apart with their little electric laser saw thingy that they tried to break into the commando safe with earlier, and then set fire to the barn. And of course, Cody had an alarm set up on the barn, which they see. But it triggers at a time when they were just getting down to lunch. Isn't that always the way? They all got away. Normally, it's only the two main guys that get away in a serial. All their Confederates end up dying for the cause. Well, after overhearing them back at the office, and then they leave for the night, the henchmen actually do something rather intelligent.
So that's the thing that tipped him off.
Well, I won't do it again.
We'll have no trouble in that barn the next time.
Finally, they do something without having to call their Dr. Varney so he can call the leader, and then they, this three-way thing is just ridiculous. Anyway, what is the next time? Well, they plant a bomb on the rocket so that it will explode during their test flight. After the rocket takes off, they go and start searching the office in graphite, only to have Joan walk in on them. So they grab her, take her back to their mine hideout, where, remember, she has a badge that's actually a two-way radio?
Commando Cody gets back, he'll search this whole town, even this mine.
Commando's not coming back.
You're bluffing.
Commando won't think so when he gets to 30,000 feet.
That's ridiculous. That rocket will fly to any altitude.
Well, it might if it didn't have a bomb hidden behind its radar scanning screen.
He even gave the location. They don't even have to fumble around finding it. And then, well, Cody grabs up the bomb, slaps on his flight suit, and disposes of the bomb in a kind of careless way. I hope it exploded before it hit somebody. Anyways, Cody rockets down over to the mine, where we get our climactic gunfight. wow, that is pretty callous. Just blowing him up like that. Could have caught him. He still had his gun. Nope. Well, he then rescues Joan. They have a successful test flight. And then while everybody's congratulating themselves, he's got to go and ruin it.
We still have a deadly and powerful enemy in outer space. There'll be plenty of work for this ship. And for us.
Oh, thought they were going to break into the Pledge of Allegiance of the Star-Spangled Banner there. Anyway, that was the first episode of Commando Cody. The next episodes would follow him and his associates as they foil other plots and get closer to tracking down Dr. Varney and then eventually defeating the leader. For an action show for the 50s, it's something else. Most film shows back then, especially in the early 50s, they were rather dialogue heavy, light on action, maybe at the end. If you've ever seen like The Adventures of Superman or The Adventures of the Lone Ranger, that's more what they would do. A lot of set-bound conversations. Maybe with the Lone Ranger, you get a little shot off at the end, or with Superman, a feat of strength or something to catch the bad guys. But this, because they were serial makers, they had a lot of running around that they could do. And one of the pluses, as well as minuses, of the Republic Studios is they had a lot of footage, stock footage they could use, like for car chases and explosions and things. The downside of that is a lot of them had been used for like 15 years, some even 20. No, wait, I'd have to say 15. Republic didn't officially start making serials until 1936, so yeah. And unfortunately, that means you would see a lot of older style cars, which you didn't see a lot of, in public at that time, which aged the show. It wasn't too bad when you had like syndicated films, because, well, it's a film. You get it. It was made a while back. But this is like a new run show. And other shows that were coming out at the time, like Dragnet, and what was that one? I think it was called Cannonball, about Adventures of Truckers. They didn't have late model cars. They had what was out at the time, so it looked fresher. Of course, looking at it now, it doesn't matter because it's been, 70 years? So, but at the time, that's one of the reasons it did not sell. Also, it was extremely violent for the time. I mean, you didn't see people getting blown up like that on Dragnet or on Adventures of Superman. Certainly not in the sitcoms of the era. But it was a action show, but it was made for kids. All serials were made for kids. And I could just see parents walking in on this going, oh my Lord, what is this? Captain Video doesn't do that. But it's a fun little show. A lot of action. A lot of really out there science in it. Because that's another thing. We knew science better then than what they were putting out. But I mean, a lot of the effects look great. The rocket ship, although it does take a horizontal takeoff, which I don't think rocket ships could do. But, Rocky Jones never did. But be that as it may, it's a fun thing. And kind of exciting. I mean, car chases, shootouts, and all that. So something an adult can enjoy if you just put your brain on numb and just kind of go along with it. Basically, it's a serial with no cliffhangers. Is the best way to look at it. And as it is pretty good. Some purists don't consider it a serial. Some do, because there's no cliffhangers. But others, considering it had played in theaters, say yes, it is a serial. So, amongst serial fans or people in their 80s, if you want to start a argument, just throw out it's not a serial and see what comes up online. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay after the credits for my favorite scene.